Look, hornet nest. Well, let's hope they don't go crazy on us. I gotta climb down there by it. So, these have made their nest on the side of this tree out of paper. And it's a paper that they make just like we do. So they take pieces of plant, in this case a tree, probably redwood, and they chew it up. And that's what we do. We make sawdust, or we make fine dust out of the plant after it's all dry. And we mix it with water, and it becomes like a paste, like flour when you mix it with water. And then you can spread it out flat and dry it out, and it becomes paper, or do like these guys have done, and they've made like, it's kind of like a honeybee nest in there. There's a bunch of holes and a bunch of little tunnels and stuff, and they're building their little house out of it, kind of like a paper house. And they usually put that in a spot where when the rain comes down it won't get to them, and they're pretty sheltered, which this thick old canopy above them and the angle of the tree, they probably know that that's a dry side. Prehistoric footprint in this boulder. You see that? Look at the toes. That's awesome. There's my foot. That must have been a big dinosaur. See that? Stepped there and left that print in the mudstone. I was joking, but then when you look at it, who knows? Maybe they were just where rocks fell out of it. Or maybe that's where a dinosaur foot stepped when this was a layer of mud, because it is sandstone. And that does happen. And it would wear out like that. So that's pretty cool. If there's any dino people that know what footprint that would be, hit me up. Yeah, the geology changes. You can see where when this layer of sediment was put down, it was finer sand. And then as you come over here, you're going to enter a different layer. See here, the layers are going this way. And you can see the transition from where it went to finer sand over to where it started getting big gravels in it for some reason. Who knows why? But as you pan back, you can start to see that this is a gravelly section instead of a fine sand. And look how far over that layer goes. It goes all the way over to here, where you can see a transition line into a whole nother layer. So these layers once were flopped flat, they were farther out to ocean, and they were being laid down like this is today. Material is being put down and put down and put down, and compacted and compacted and compacted, and eventually it turns into rock, and then it gets lifted up and inland, thousands of miles sometimes, by the time it's done, still continuing. But it also gets tilted because the entire state and the entire edge of the continent's getting crushed so hard from the plates pushing in here and lifting it up, that it accordioned them, it cracked them, and it tilted things this way and that way. And so the lines aren't always just flat across the state, they're usually at a slant, one way or the other, where the flat layers that were laid down are getting crumpled and then put on edge, as far as the sedimentary rock goes. So you can see here when you stand back, this is actually at a pattern going like this, down this in different layers. So this got lifted up and put at a tilt. And you can see all the different forms. These are all what you consider a sandstone. And you can see that once it was a bunch of little pieces. So once again, if you think about that, it was created, shoved up by the core of the earth originally. All of the forces and erosive elements of nature acted upon it. It wore down until it was in these finest pieces, much like the sand that you see here. and then was washed out to places where it layered and layered and layered upon itself like mud and sand on the bottom of a pond or upon a beach, and then compacted and compacted and compacted by the weight of all of the rock above it and time itself until it became this, or even finer silt and sand that washed out and became that. So that's what you're looking at. Here's a different gray, roughed up stuff. You can see the bigger conglomerate here. These are all boulders that have broken away from the slope, so they're all mixed up now. And even they are being ground every day back into sand, which will then go out to form a layer, be compacted down, and then eventually lifted up. It will be seen as a stripe in the earth, like all the other stripes that you see in the sedimentary layers. So if you think about it, here's a polished up one. See all the little bits in there? Those are rock fossils. So those were trapped in the sand. See all the sand or the mud around it? For long enough for it to become stone again. They were once bigger stones, of course, that broke down into that smaller shape. So when you're looking at a rock, even this one, that's a sedimentary rock, you're looking at something that was once a bunch of other pieces of rock or mud made into a stone, being fossilized. See, this isn't a piece of cement. This is a piece of stone that just has larger chunks to it, but same process. So they're rock fossils. In a way. It's a preserved day. This could have been a day. This could have been 4 days, however long it takes to make a layer. Whatever was going on with the wind and the water. You know, it's got to be deposited and then not be disturbed and stay there to make a clean layer and just have stuff piled on it. So, you know, a river washed this out one day and it never moved again and eventually became a layer of stone, now broken away into a pebble. But that's what you're looking at, is a frozen moment of erosion. You can see that all these rocks stuck in this were in some sort of gray mud, but they were round, so they've all been in a river. These have all been acted upon by water, whatever washed them out here. Maybe the beach they were laying on themselves, and then they were captured in the sand and laid there until they became a solidified mass. But that's those are rounded river rocks you're looking at. Those are pebbles. So here's the patterning. This could have been, you see little layers in here, and then bigger layers, more little layers, bigger layers, little layers, bigger layers. Whatever was going on with this beach or this bay or this river during its seasons, it was laying down finer stuff, rougher stuff, finer stuff, rougher stuff. It's almost like growth rings, but it's for the earth. And these represent ages of the earth, years of the earth, decades of the earth. Depending on how much material is deposited is how thick a layer will be. So some rivers can put down that much in a year. Some might lay down just the finest little layer of silt. So look at that layer of quartz. So this is a mineralization. You have a mineral occurring. So minerals, water, carrying different elements have leached down in here and in a void formed a layer of quartz. So that's a different process going on. And you can see it banded all throughout here. And that's how gold gets there also. Gold leaches down in there and gets stuck in the same places and gets in the cracks. So you can think of this as a real slow crystal growing process, just like anything else. A little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, until it's grown into that. And that was buried in the earth once, of course, so not visible until now. These are really cool little, can you see how clear they are? Like a milky quartz, but nice smoothing out on them. Man, there's a lot of cool ones. Look at this one. Those are already pretty darn polished. Just have some beautiful tones to them. Wow. Ooh. That one's cool. Let's wash it off. Wow. That is pretty awesome. It's like painted on there. We like it. Oh, got me. Oh, look at these. These are crazy. Look. Look. That is awesome. That's not, it doesn't look like quartz, it looks more like a banded jade, you know? It's just beautiful. Wow. Oh, look at that. Let's come back up. Look at that. Same stuff, but green. That is just gorgeous. I love that. Wow. Pink and awesome. These are just such beautiful, clear pieces of, I'm not willing to call it agate. It looks like just different mineralizations of quartz. Of course, everything is, right? But look at it. Each one is such a different mixture of colors. And the sand here is giving them a fine polish. It's a fine polish. I got a bulging pocket full of rocks. I did not bring a bucket. I did not know it was going to be this beautiful down here. Oh my God. That's the thing about it, is what you're looking at is all of the rocks that have washed from all of the mountains from prehistoric times out, been turned into sandstone, lifted up, and now they're breaking back off and washing out. So you have every mineral that's ever existed for the last billion years of time laid out before you here. Look at that one. There's this far out. Definitely a big old jasper nodule. Look at that. It's wetted again. It's wet. Ooh, let's grab this little guy too. Look at that. It's like a ghostly blue. All sorts of blues and stuff in there. Are you seeing that? Ah, that's pretty cool. Look at that. Nice fire colors in that one. All these just need a little bit more polishing and they'd be shiny, shiny. Man, there are some cool mixes on this beach. Look at that one. Yes, water to the camera. Bad spot to stand, evidently. This one looks like a piece of a gizzard. Look at this one, green with garnet stuck in it. Beautiful, look at that. Little garnets in there. Not so beautiful.